Dear students, today we are going to discuss concept of language. We will discuss the definition, nature and characteristics of language. Let's begin. Language is a very important phenomenon in our life. In other words, language is compared with a mother, right? That's why we have mother tongue. So, language is today an inseparable part of human society. The society of humans is possible only through the language. So language is a bonding among the people, right, of a common society. And language is the biggest feature, I would say, of human civilization. Human civilization is alive because of language only. And this civilization of humans is carried forward to next generations through language only. So we cannot imagine our life, we cannot imagine a human society without language. So every now and then we need a language. Our daily communication is totally incomplete without language. So human civilization has been possible only through language. Right? Languages in general are many, but the common thing a language has is expression. So language may be Marathi, so language may be Hindi, language may be Spanish, French, or any other. But the single motive or aim of a language is what? Communication. And this communication is impossible without a language. So it is through language that only humanity has come out of the Stone Age, means age-old generations, and has developed science, art, and technology in a big way. So the biggest secret of human development as far as science, art, and technology is concerned lies in language. So language is a means of communication. It is arbitrary, it is a system of systems. We know that speech is primary while writing is secondary. Here primary means of prime importance. So we use language for speaking purpose more than the writing purpose. So speech is more than the writing, right? And we develop spoken form of language rather than a written form of language. So spoken form came first and later on the written form. So language is human, so it differs from animal communication in several ways. Animals do have their own communication system. Dogs, they have barking system. Cats, they have meow meow system. Nice. Donkeys, they have their own language. Same is the case with lions, right? Same is the case with elephants. And birds do have their language, isn't it? You can observe their utterances. But let me tell you that the language of the words, the language of the animals is quite limited. So if we compare the language of birds and animals with human language, then what we find that human language is unlimited, infinite, rather than the animal communication. Animal communication is limited to express some basic emotions like hunger, like anger, like love, isn't it? So animals do have their communication, but this communication is very limited. They can express just their love, they can express their what to say fear, they express their hunger, they can express their thirst, right? Isn't it? They can express what to say intimacy also. So beyond that, animal communication is just a zero thing. But on the other hand, human communication is a complete one, right? So, along with the basic needs, we can extend human communication to unlimited limits, right? So, animal communication is limited and human communication is unlimited. And that's why it is said that the biggest secret of human development is possible because of magic of language. Animals fail to develop their language beyond their basic needs. Language can have scores of characteristics, but the following are the most important ones. Right? We would discuss all these features of language one by one in our later discussion. Just like language is arbitrary, productive, creative, systematic, vocalic, social, non-instinctive, and conventional. These are the features of language in general. These characteristics of language set human language apart from animal communication. Some of these features may be part of animal communication, right? But they do not form a part of it in total. So we cannot compare animal communication with human communication as a language. Right? So animals do have their communication system, but it is very, very limited. Right? So language has human creation criteria actually. As you know that man is a social being, this society is possible because of language, right? And we are having our communication through language. Suppose that if there is no language, then what will happen? We won't have our relationship. We won't have maintenance of relationship. We won't have new relationship also. Isn't it? If we just delete the concept of language from the society, it could have a, an adverse effect on us. The society would be cut into pieces. So man is a social being who always needs company in his life. So we need company of family, company of friends, company of colleagues, right? Company of neighbors. And this company is obviously unfulfilled without language. So it can hardly be imagined that he should live all alone by himself without anyone to accompany him. The point is that we cannot imagine a life lonely. We need someone to be in contact with us. That's our psychological need. That's our social need. That's why we have multiple relationships. Relationship like mother, father, brother, sister, neighbor, friend, isn't it? So all these companies are maintained through language. New companies are developed, new relationships are developed with the help of language also. So in order to facilitate their efforts to provide themselves with the necessities of life, human beings have to cooperate with one another. And this cooperation is, is possible only through language, which can only be carried out in a community. So community, society, relationship, all these bondings are nothing but the product of language, right? So people speaking Marathi, right, can be united because of language. Even though one is poor, even though one is what you say powerful, right? That's not a matter, right? People speaking Gujarati language, they will have a union, isn't it? The people who are speaking Kerala, South Indian language, right? They just started living all together. So language develops the concept of community, society, and relationship. It is for the purpose of this cooperation that members of social group use a means of communication. A social group means group sharing the same language, like Marathi, Hindi, right? Ahinari language, Banjara language, isn't it? So all these groups share a common way of communication, common type of language. and they are united. They are living all together. They are having relationships because of language. Right? Suppose that a single community who is sharing a single language or common language decides to use some other language. What would happen? Suppose that some Banjara community or Wadar community or Bhila community, they decided that they would not use their language. They would use some other language. Then what would happen? It would definitely have a bad impact on their relationship, right? It would endanger their social group. See, that's the magic. That's the power of language. So, social group needs a means of communication, which is called language. With language, man can express his ideas and wishes to other people, such as when he leaves their house. Right? So, for helping, for cooperating, right, we need a language. You cannot imagine our life without a language. That's it. So, man would be lonely, man would be isolated if language is not there. For example, a deaf and dumb man, deaf, right, and dumb, a person who cannot listen and cannot talk, see the movements of that person. That movements, that person just tries to express himself as as through body language, gestures, and some utterances that person tries to utter, but he fails to express properly. Like if that deaf and dumb person wants some food to eat, he just say like this. Wants to drink, he just say like this, right? He can cry, he can smile, but beyond that, he cannot express. So that deaf and dumb person feels isolated, right? Feels isolated means he feels that I am not normal. I am not normal as far as language use is concerned. So that deaf and dumb person tries to express himself as his level best, but without the help of language, that is not possible, right? So he tries to communicate with the other normal person, right? But what we can say, without language, the communication fails. The communication fails. That's it. मुका आणि बहिरा व्यक्ती असेल तर काय होतं मग ती व्यक्ती नॉर्मल व्यक्तीसोबत बोलताना प्रयत्न करते आवाज काढते किंवा फिजिकल एक्सप्रेशन्स दाखवत असते पण फिजिकल एक्सप्रेशन्स कशापर्यंत मर्यादित आहेत तहान भूक राईट हसणं रडणं या पुरतच मर्यादित आहे त्यापेक्षा जास्त तो काही बोलू शकत नाही त्याची घालमेल असते राईट त्याला स्वतःला काय वाटतं एकटं वाटतं वेगळं वाटतं कारण का नॉर्मल व्यक्तीसारखा तो बोलू शकत नाही किंवा ऐकू शकत नाही ते तरफड असते कम्युनिकेशन करण्याची पण ते करू शकत नाही का कारण त्याकडे भाषा ही काय आहे मर्यादित आहे त्याचमुळे भाषा ही आपली सामाजिक आणि मानसिक गरज आहे ग्रुप किंवा समाज सोसायटी संबंध हे कशामुळे डेव्हलप होत आहे मेंटेन राहत आहे तर फक्त आणि फक्त भाषेमुळे भाषा जर वजा केली आपण तर माणसाची सिव्हिलायझेशन मानव वंश काय होईल त्याच्यावर अतिशय वाईट परिणाम होईल माणूस हा समाजप्रिय प्राणी आहे असं आपण म्हणतो हा समाज संबंध कशामुळे डेव्हलप झालेला आहे तर भाषेमुळे सिंगल भाषा बोलणारा कॉमन भाषा बोलणारा समाज माणसं ही एकत्र राहत असतात तर तो समाज सारखीच भाषा बोलत असेल त्या समाजाने ठरवलं की आपली भाषा न बोलता दुसरी भाषा बोलूया काय होईल त्याचा अतिशय वाईट परिणाम त्या समाजावर होईल त्या समाजामधल्या असलेल्या लोकांच्या एकमेकांच्या संबंधावर होईल भाषा प्रत्यक्ष अप्रत्यक्षपणे अतिशय प्रभावशाली असं माध्यम आहे राईट सो लँग्वेज इज अ ह्युमन क्रायटेरियन आणि माणसाने सगळ्यात मोठा शोध लावलेला असेल तर तो आहे भाषा एक नाही अनंत भाषा आहेत जगावर भाषा जरी वेगळ्या असल्या तरी त्यांचा हेतू एकच आहे, that is communication. So the three elements mentioned above, namely human beings, community, and language, very closely related and not easily divisible. Thus, language is considered as a criterion which is used to identify human beings. Right? So, our identity is totally depends upon our language. Right? The concepts like human beings, community, right, language, these are interrelated things. एकमेकांशी संबंधित आहे. बरोबर, जरी भाषा आपल्याला साधी गोष्ट वाटत असली पण भाषा ही अतिशय प्रभावी माध्यम आहे. भाषेशिवाय मनुष्य काय आहे तर एक लंगडा व्यक्ती आहे. So a question arises whether the means of communication used by animals can also be called language as used by human beings. So if we compare and contrast human language with animal communication, then what would happen? One would say that both the human beings and animals produce the sounds to convey a message. Right? We are uttering sounds. Same sounds are uttered by animals and birds. What is the difference? There are some differences. The message expressed, important means expressed by animals is limited, as I told you earlier, to their biological needs. Biological needs means love, hunger, thirst, like that. But human communicate not only about things connected with biological needs, but also about other things which we may deem necessary. Other things like democracy is there, right? Society is there, faction is there, right? Many such things can be expressed through language, right? So what is a language then? Simply it means the method of human communication, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured and conventional way. The method of human communication, means of communication, way of communication, style of communication, vehicle of communication, right? Expression of communication, like that. So many words can be replaced, right? But the same theme would be there, either spoken or written. Most of the languages in the world have these two forms, spoken or written. Most of the languages. So it is not necessary that all the languages in the world have these two forms. It may be possible that a language may have a single method of expression, just like spoken form or written form, right? There are some languages in the world which have only spoken form. There are some languages in the world which have only written form. There are some languages in the world, right, which have both the forms, spoken and written. भाषेचे दोन माध्यम कोणते आहेत तर स्पोकन अँड रिटन, बोलता येणे आणि लिहू शकणे. जगातल्या सगळ्याच भाषा लिहिता येतात आणि बोलता येतात का बरं, सांगा. Yes, a question to you.
Nice, sir.
Yes.
No, no, sir.
No. Yes, what others say? Other students? सगळ्यात भाषा लिहिता येतात का, बोलता येतात का?
No, sir.
काय वाटतं? सगळ्या भाषा बोलता येतात आणि लिहिता येतात का?
No, sir.
काही भाषा आहेत का ज्या फक्त बोलता येतात किंवा काही लिहिता येतात फक्त, असं आहे का? यस, आहे का असं काही? फक्त स्पोकन फॉर्म मध्ये आहे, रिटन फॉर्म मध्ये नाही, किंवा रिटन फॉर्म मध्ये आहे, स्पोकन फॉर्म मध्ये नाही, असं होतं का? बोला. मराठी आपण लिहू
होतं
शकतो,
सर.
बोलू शकतो. हिंदी आपण लिहू शकतो, बोलू शकतो. इंग्रजी आपण लिहू शकतो, बोलू शकतो. Right? अशी काही भाषा आहे का बरं की फक्त बोलू शकतो, लिहू शकत नाही, किंवा लिहू शकतो, बोलू शकत नाही? येस.
आहे ना सर.
कुठली?
मराठी, हिंदी बोलू शकतो पण लिहू शकत नाही.
मराठी, हिंदी लिहू शकतो की नाही, बोलू पण शकतो.
जे शिकलेले नाही असते सर ते.
नाही, शिकलेले नाहीत तो भाग नंतरचा. ठीक आहे. जगात अशा काही भाषा आहेत का त्या फक्त बोलता येतात, लिहिता येत नाही, किंवा लिहिता येतात, बोलता येत नाही, असं आहे का काही? शिक्षित अशिक्षित हा भाग नंतरचा आहे. येस. नो आन्सर. बंजारा भाषा लिहिता येते का नारायण? नारायण, कॅन यू हिअर मी?
नाही लिहिता येत सर.
नाही लिहिता येत. का लिहिता येत नाही बरं? बोलता येते?
हो सर, बोलता येते पण लिहिता येत नाही सर.
का लिहिता येत नाही, काय कारण असेल बरं? बोला, काय वाटतं तुम्हाला? तुम्ही बंजारा भाषा बोलता आहात, लिहिता काय येत नाही, मग सांगा, काय कारण असेल की नाही?
त्या भाषेला लिपीच नाही ना सर.
लिपी नाही, एक्झॅक्टली, लिपी नाही. राईट. मग बंजारा भाषा, the Banjara language have just the spoken form. No written form is there. Still it is alive. तरी ती भाषा जिवंत आहे की नाही?
हो सर.
येस. भिल्ल लोकांची भाषा किंवा वडार समाजाची भाषा लिहू शकतो का?
नाही सर.
नाही लिहू शकतो. But it is used as a means of communication. The point is that some languages in the world, they have spoken form but no written form, and on the other hand some languages have written form but no spoken form. जी बंजारा भाषा आहे, वडार भिल्ल लोकांची भाषा आहे, त्यांना रिटन फॉर्म नाही, लिपी नाहीये, अल्फाबेट्स नाहीये. राईट. अशी कोणती भाषा आहे का बरं की ते फक्त लिखाण करू शकतो पण बोलू शकत नाही? लिखाण करता येतं, लिखाण दिसतंय पण बोलता येत नाही. येस, एक्झाम्पल.
सर उर्दू भाषा.
उर्दू भाषा बोलताही येते, लिहिताही येते. नो प्रॉब्लेम इज देयर. And this problem is related to old languages, those languages who are not being used today. तुम्ही शिलालेख हा शब्द ऐकला असेल, ऐकलाय का? शिलालेख कुठे आहे बरं, कुठे असतो? शिलालेख काय असतो? That's the main problem. पाटणा देवीला तुम्ही गेलेत का कधी?
हो सर.
तिथे शिलालेख तुम्हाला दिसलाय का कधी? शिलालेख म्हणजे दगडावर माहिती कोरलेली असते. हे मंदिर कोणी बांधलं, केव्हा बांधलं गेलं, मंदिराबद्दल किंवा त्या स्ट्रक्चर बद्दल, बिल्डिंग बद्दल माहिती असते. पाटणा देवीला आहे शिलालेख. मंदिरात एंट्री करतो ना, बाजूला ठेवलेला आहे. आपलं लक्ष त्या मूर्तीकडे
हो
असतं.
आहे.
पाहिला का शिलालेख? जाल तर नक्की बघा शिलालेख तिथे आहे. त्यावर कोरीव काम केलेलं आहे. कोरीव काम मीन्स लँग्वेज इज देअर एन्कार्व्ड, लँग्वेज कोरलेली आहे. तो शिलालेख आपल्याला वाचता येईल का बरं आज?
हो सर.
शिलालेखची भाषा वाचता येईल का आज? नारायण गेला, मनोज गेला किंवा मोनिका गेली, वाचता येईल का? किंवा मी गेलो, मला वाचता येईल का तो शिलालेख? येस ऑर नो?
नो सर.
बाकीच्यांनी पाहिलाच नाही शिलालेख काय भानगड असते, जाऊन बघा. तो शिलालेख आपल्याला वाचता येणार नाही बिकॉज unknown language is there. We cannot read that language. We cannot speak that language. त्या शिलालेखवरची भाषा ती कोणती आहे ते काहीच कळत नाही बिकॉज वी डोंट नो दॅट स्क्रिप्ट. ती लिपी आपल्याला माहिती नाही, अल्फाबेट्स आपल्याला माहिती नाही. ती भाषा रिटन फॉर्म मध्ये आहे का त्याच्यावर कोरलेली आहे. शिलालेख आहे, ताम्रलेख असतात. ताम्रलेख, ताम्रलेख मीन्स काय असतं? ताम्रलेख, तांब्याच्या पट्ट्या असतात बघा, त्या तांब्याच्या पट्ट्यावर कोरलेले असतात अक्षर. गुगलवर बघा ताम्रलेख शिलालेख काय आहे. ताम्रलेखावर सुद्धा भाषा कोरलेली आहे. बरेच जुने ताम्रलेख अवेलेबल आहेत, पण त्यावरची भाषा आपण वाचू शकत नाही बिकॉज दे आर ओल्ड अँड आउटडेटेड लँग्वेजेस टुडे. ती भाषा न बोलली जात, न वाचली जात, न ती भाषा आपल्याला कळत. रिटन फॉर्म मध्ये आहे पण ती वाचता येणार नाही. The point is that some languages have both the forms spoken and written. Some languages have only spoken form. Some languages have only written form. So these three possibilities are there, right? So consisting of the use of words. So consistency means a language is made up of words, alphabets, right? Nouns, adjectives, like that. So bunch of words are there in a language in a structured and conventional way. Structured words are systematically made, vocabulary is systematically made, sentences are systematically made. I like tea, systematically sentence. I like tea. If you change the structure of this sentence, what would happen? No proper structure. I like tea, tea like I. No, it's wrong. So structure, right? See the structure, language, spelling of language, see. This is structure, Language. If you change this structure, what would happen? That word would not remain language then. स्पेलिंग लिहिणं, वाक्य तयार करणं, शब्द बनवणं, हे काय आहे? स्ट्रक्चर्ड थिंग आहे. ड्राईव्ह, ड्रायव्हर, ड्राईव्ह, ड्रायव्हर, ड्रायव्हिंग, isn't it? It's काय? स्ट्रक्चर्ड. ing लागतो, er लागतो, d लागतो, ed लागतो, बरोबर आहे. Right? Write, rewrite, structure. Some rules and regulations we have to follow while using a language, right? So that is why it is structured and conventional way. Some convention, some method is there. Some method is there. When we learn a language, it means we learn structures, structure of alphabets, structure of vowels, structure of consonants, structure of vocabulary, structure of spellings, structure of sentences, structure of grammar, right? So all these are the structures. We learn it in a conventional. Conventional means it is handed over to us by the previous generation, conventional, and we would hand over the same to the next generation. Isn't it? जी भाषा आपल्याला पूर्वजांकडून मिळालेली आहे ती कॉन्व्हेन्शनल, म्हणजे जशी आहे तशी आपण घेतो आणि तीच भाषा पुढच्या पिढीकडे आपण काय करतो? हँड ओव्हर करतो. दॅट इज कॉल्ड कॉन्व्हेन्शनल वे, राईट? सो दिस इज कॉल्ड लँग्वेज, राईट? So the concept of language is a very vast one. So language is a means of communication.